G'day. Welcome back to the $100,000 to $1 million challenge. I've waited on the sidelines for over a year, but it's now time for either Altseason or bust, as I plan to be 100% allocated a week after Shapella goes live. Please note that the information contained in this video is not financial advice and is purely for entertainment purposes. In today's video, I'll cover all of the usual topics, beginning with a look at the portfolio as it stands today. 121,049. Not a lot of change in the value of the portfolio since the last video. The main change I'd say is that in the last video I had over 70k in stablecoins. I've now reduced that to just over 40k in stablecoins. This is because I've been busy accumulating the names that I want, and so much so I've even gone ahead and got out a loan on Maker. Now, in case if you're not familiar with Maker, what I've done is I've deposited my ETH into the Maker smart contract, and that's allowed me to borrow DAI. DAI is a stablecoin, roughly 1-to-1 with all other stablecoins. Now note that I'm very conservative in my borrowing. As you can see, I had just over 7.75 ETH. I've put 7.75 ETH into this contract. That's allowed me to borrow 4,000 DAI against it. My liquidation price is 877.42, so if ETH price does go below this, then I would forfeit the ETH that I've locked up in the staking contract, because Maker would go ahead and sell that to recoup what they need to recoup for the DAI that they're giving me. Now, what I'm doing is I'm very conservative. As I've said, we haven't seen ETH below $877 for over 2 years, so I'm not expecting to be at risk of liquidation. The $4,000 that I've borrowed, I've used that to set more orders in the market. So in effect, my starting portfolio is now 104,000 instead of the original 100,000. Now, as ETH price moves up, I will consider borrowing more DAI against it. I'm also willing to borrow against my Altcoin when the time comes, so that I should be able to get my starting portfolio up to around 120,000 instead of the original 100,000. It's a little risky, but when the time is right, such as now, this is when I'm going to go ahead and leverage up a little bit. Let's take a look at the charts. Starting off with Bitcoin. Now, as I mentioned in my last video, my new target was for somewhere between 33 and 49k, because my very first video I said that 28k by the middle of the year. I'd be very surprised if we didn't get there. We hit it early. It's key resistance. We're still bouncing around here, haven't been able to close above any of this key resistance. In my last video I said, well, I'd say 33k to 49k would be, I'd be surprised if we don't end up at least at 33k by the time we get to this yellow line. And I've written here that the measured move of this head and shoulders is 33.905. So I'd be very surprised if we don't end up at 33.905 by the middle of the year. Of course, this is crypto, anything can happen, but that's my central case for now. Could we dip a little bit before we get up there? Absolutely. I'm not too sure what's going to happen. This blue line here is Shanghai, and this green line is a week after Shanghai, when I think that's kind of a better time range to give people a chance to unstake, particularly with, as I understand it, it's $90 million a day approximately of ETH that will be unstaked, so people have to queue. It's going to take quite a while for people to unstake, get their ETH, and then decide what they want to do with it. If you look at the DXY, okay, there is a bounce off support here. If we continue to move up, that should give a chance for ETH, Bitcoin, all cryptos really, to retrace a little bit. Fingers crossed for that. If we look at ETH, okay, last video I talked about these 2 points here. I sold some at 1700, sold some at 1770. This candle here that opened and then closed green, it was almost a step, and I kind of looked at that and I thought, well, geez, doesn't look like this sell-off into Shanghai is really going to happen. It could be a case of, because the unlocks are relatively small, 90 million a day, it could be a case that there isn't a sell-off. And so I was really monitoring at this point. Once we kind of broke out, I said, look, if I can get back in at 1770, I'll get back in. I was able to pick some up here at 1770. Unfortunately, this 1700, the ETH that I sold there, it's gone. If we do get a retrace somehow into this Shanghai, then I'll pick up some more ETH, because I'm expecting big things from ETH post Shanghai. Now, if I take off this everything off the chart, you can see, this is one heck of a bullish chart. This is a huge sell-off. It's almost like you're you've got your mean reversion here. Okay, it was a bit too fast. We've got to unwind it. Now we're right back at resistance again. Once this breaks out, this looks super solid to me. And if I look back at this red line, which I drew in July last year, combined with this red line that I drew in November of last year, price is tracking nicely inside that line. It's hugging the lower end because, of course, this Shanghai, it's a bit of an uncertainty. I was previously thinking it's definitely going to be sell the news. Not as certain anymore, and but it's in my lines. So based on that, if I looked at my worst case line, it's about 2.5 ETH by the middle of the year. I would be surprised if we're not at least at 2.5 by the middle of the year. We'll see what happens. Let's take a look at Litecoin. So we're at a big battle here at the head and shoulders neckline, just around $90. I do have these orders here, but I have closed them all actually, because I've used all those funds for other altcoin orders. Now, after Shapella, my central case would be that I'm expecting a move above $100 pretty quickly for Litecoin here. We'll see what happens, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it at the moment. Some altcoins that I've picked up. I picked up some Arbitrum at $1.15 right here. I'm not too sure what it's going to do. It's already 12 billion fully diluted. Not too sure, but certainly I just wanted to have some on the books, so I'm happy enough with my buy. I will hold it and see what happens. Frax, I was able to pick some up here at 8.48 on this tail down here. I do have another order working at $8 to pick up some more. I'm not sure if that's going to get hit. I'd like it to. Hopefully this DXY can do something, but if not, I have a piece, and that's all good. Particularly with once Shanghai's done and these staking narratives, I imagine could get another narrative run happening. So it's good to have some of that on the books. Okay, Metis. So I just want to look at this Metis chart. Like if we look at it from here, big run up, of course. Here's the blow off. Big sell off. One dip. Up again. Another dip. Up again. Another dip. Another dip. There's only so many chances you can get, and with this dip again, I'm more than happy to let up down here. If I was able to pick some up here at 24, and I've got some more waiting there at 24, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to move this order up, because Metis is pitching itself as the first hybrid L2, so utilizing both ZK rollups and optimistic rollups. They've got Aave coming soon. That should bring a ton of liquidity to the ecosystem. It would have been nice to get some of the returns from buying, let's say, Tethys or Hummus, actual ecosystem coins, but I think I'm too late for that. So because this is at least still in a reasonable area, and I'm looking at a big breakout post Shanghai, I am looking to make this one of my biggest bags. I was talking about the graph in the previous video as a data play. I was able to pick some up here at this tail at 13.4 cents. I've got another order here at 11 cents. I don't think it's going to get hit. I'll probably have to move it up. I'm just monitoring price right now, but I'm glad to have some of that on the books. I went ahead and picked up some Boo. Just wanted a bit more phantom exposure. Why not add another DEX play? Pick some up here at $1.71. Unfortunately, it's broken through, and next key support is probably $1.44. I'm just going to hold it. Chart is decent enough. I'm pretty happy with that chart. Of course, if we break these lows, that's a different story. But for now, happy enough with that buy. A0. Now, just going back in time with A0, I picked up some here at 87 cents. Picked some up here at 93 cents. Sold all at $1.55 when we got that BUSD SEC kind of thing happening. It broke out after that. I did get some on this retrace here at $1.76. I bought some more here at $1.39, and I now have got my final order at $1.22. This is a project that I'm pretty big on. I am looking to pick up as much of it as I can. And I did have a look back and actually do the calculations as to if I had simply bought here at 87 cents, 93 cents, and had held it and done nothing, then I'd be 1,300 in profit off of this, based on today's price. What I did though is I sold, I bought, and if I come down to A0 here, I'm actually up 1,700. So that's I'm pretty happy with that. Sometimes I do worry. I don't want to overtrade. I have been a bit active with this one, but it's actually been for the better. Let's take a look at Blur. Now Blur's coming down into a nice area. I do have an order here working at 51 cents. I may have to move it up a little bit depending on what price it does. I mean, I'm not big on NFTs. I know my strengths and weaknesses, and this is certainly one of my weaknesses. But I do know that this is a pretty good chart, and there should be an NFT run at some point. So I'm looking to pick some of this up. Render, I don't have any still. I do have an order working. I'm not sharing it. The reason for that being that I actually have quite a lot of buys recently that I've made that I've partially filled. And you can kind of see why. Like if you look at some of my fills, I'm filling a lot of these tails. For me to get a full fill, it's not that my positions are huge, but still I'm enough to kind of get partially filled. And this can get a bit thin render, so I'd like to get my full fill if possible, and I want to get a big position of this. But certainly I'm very actively looking for an entry in render. And back to uni, back from the first video, uni. Could it finally be my time? I've got an order here at 565. If I get filled, I'll be pretty happy about that, to get a fill on what should be the decks with the most volume. It'll be nice. I haven't had uni for a while, and just what are we? 33 cents away from a bit of uni. Let's look at some of the buys and sells since last video. Only sell is PSL. I was holding that. But a lot of these coins I like to just hold them and try and hold them, but the structures just looked really poor on this coin, so I got out on a spike. That's actually my entry, was the same as my exit, so no gain, no loss for that one. In terms of the buys, all the orange ones here, I've gone through in the video. Talk about Cardano, I've got my final buy here at 97.2 cents. It's right against the lows. It's 90 cents. Looks like it's going to be pretty good support, and I'm done buying that. In terms of Magic, not the greatest entry, but I just wanted to get some of the books. Just another piece of the Arbitrum ecosystem. I may add more for that depending on how price behaves. And paid, jeez, couldn't get away from it, could I? I've picked some up here at just over 1.8 cents. I mean, I'm not expecting much from the project, to be honest, but maybe they'll do another AMA, which is not an AMA, and then splice it into a series of marketing tweets. You never know. So I've just picked up 2.5k worth of that. So just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you're able to find some value, please help by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Any questions about particular coins or anything really, if you leave a comment below, I'll make sure to respond, and I'll let you know my thoughts. There is a Google Sheet link in the description below where I enter all of my trades as they happen, or if you'd like notifications for any trade that I make, come and join the Discord channel where I post any trades that I make in the trading channel. I'm aiming to be back in about another fortnight's time, so until then, let's always be looking for an edge. Take care until next time, and thanks for watching the $100,000 to $1 million challenge.